Hey everyone, Joe Waxman here, the mediocre astrologer. He's okay. What's up, everyone? Hope you're doing okay. Um, in this video, I want to look at the Pluto transit into Aquarius and see, look how it's going to affect you personally, right? So I talked more generally about it last time. So this time I want to look at individual charts and see how the transit will affect everyone. Um, just a little preface. I didn't sleep that well last night, so I'm a little tired. So I'm like, oh, should I make this video? But I wanted to, so I'm like, just forgive me if I'm a little bit out of it. I had a headache, couldn't sleep well. But anyway, it is what it is, and I'm here and I'm doing it. So anyway, hit that like button for me, please, and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get into it. Okay, using my chart first as an example, and so we just have the current transits. Um, so what you can do is with Pluto, particularly Pluto, you can do this with any transit. The outer planets, the slower moving planets, are going to be much more interesting. People always focus on the moon. Moon changes so often, it's like it's just trivial nonsense. I mean, who cares really? Like always something, unless it's going to be like, new moon on a personal planet, or full moon on a personal planet, or eclipse on a personal planet or point. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, outer planets really are what we're talking about, are the most important transits, right? Saturn, Jupiter, yeah, Mars, less so, but yeah, it's still going to. Anyway, the slower the movie, the more impact. But Pluto is going to have major impact on everyone. But what you can do, so for me, Pluto was for everyone, it was in Capricorn. For me, it was in the third house. So what you can do is look where Pluto and Capricorn was and think about all the ways that your life has been in the past, I don't know, however many years. It's like I don't, I could figure it out, but it doesn't really matter. However long it's been there, right? Over 10 years. Um, it changes. I mean, it doesn't move. It's not the exact same in each sign. I think it's like 20 years in Aquarius, and it was probably slightly less in Capricorn. Um, but anyway, you can see the house and the themes of the house, but not only that, where Saturn is in your chart and the relationship, right, between them, right? So Pluto was in my third house. So how did that affect me? Well, I can think about lots of things. I mean, largely because it's activating Saturn. Saturn's in my 10th whole sign house. It's close to my MC. So it was affecting my career a lot. And it is Saturn. So and I'm still relatively young, right? I'm not young, but I'm middle aged right now. But young enough that Saturn is still, especially not in good dignity, still poses a problem for me, especially because of the inconjunct, right? Right. It's activating Saturn Leo. Saturn Leo is not like the best dignity, obviously. It's in detriment. Um and because it's opposite its domicile and in Aquarius, right? But the relationship between Capricorn and Leo also is inconjunct, so that you can see is less harmonious. It's less um um it's more of a challenge because what I was facing was Saturn inconjunct. Also you can see, the contacts here. This is my ascendant lord, so it's personally affecting me, but issues with bosses, authorities, leaders, especially in the career as it related to my career. My career, anything with Pluto is going to really revolutionize. It's going to unearth everything and just kind of ruthlessly destroy whatever is not, um whatever's old, whatever needs to die, and then what you have at the end is a rebirth of something that's really an evolution of what was before. It's painful. Pluto's painful. Pluto's not easy, but ultimately what you get out of it is something that is a another level, right? You're leveling up with Pluto, right? But you can tell like how difficult or how easy or the themes of it by the house that it's in and where your Saturn is and in relationship to. So third house was like for me driving a lot, short distance travel. It related a lot to my career. Obviously, Saturn in the 10th or Saturn in the ninth, depending on how you're looking at it, but 10th whole sign house. Um, it's aspecting my MC with the inconjunct. And then so driving, working with my hands a lot of physical activity, very grueling stuff. I mean, communication really was transformed. I started my YouTube, this all in the, Pluto third house. What else? Um, Nothing really much with siblings. I have siblings, but it's, um, I don't know, maybe it renewed that relationship because yeah. Um, but what else? My intellect, I don't know. Possibly. I mean, it's such a long transit. It's really hard to fathom the all the nuances and depths of everything, but probably changed my mind a lot, right? Um, I think yeah, definitely had like some, spiritual awakenings during this time because its effect on the intellect, right? It's going to revolutionize that. The third house is very sensitive for the mind, right? Definitely, Pluto in the third house it can create, you know, at times mental imbalances for sure. Any case, Pluto is now actually exactly opposite my Saturn, but this actually is a more harmonious placement because the opposition is more balanced than the inconjunct. Inconjunct is um, unequal relationships, one side dominating the other, right? The opposition is two equal sides. So this, because it's also still going to activate my Saturn, and it's opposite right now. Um, that's going to create opportunity for me in my career, right? So that's really exciting. It's also going to influence my fourth house. So like my home is probably going to go through many transformations, um, for better and worse, for difficulty and challenge and I'll probably move a lot. I already have moved a lot many times in the past, but it's going to go through many transformations, right? Not just like moving, but like deep changes in my home environment, my family, right? My having to do with my parents, my relationship with them, all these things. So those are the themes that I'm looking at. More harmonious relationship with Saturnian elements in my career, right? Which is good, It's more opportunity for me, equal relationships, partnerships rather than boss, telling me what to do, which is I'm terrible at that. Like I've got Uranus rising. Oops. Hold on. My picture just dropped out. Video. There we go. Sorry. I got to keep my picture in there. All right. Yeah. So the other thing that Aquarius is going to do is activate Uranus. So wherever your Uranus is, um, that's going to also, be a major theme for Aquarius. And then you can look at the relationship. So this is square with Uranus, Pluto square Uranus, and for the next, while it's hovering in the low degrees, squaring Uranus, there could be some activation of something Uranian, right? Uranus is just very unpredictable. It could be good or bad, or I think it's going to be good and related to my career, but it's going to be very Uranian. But the squares struggle anyway. The square is hard work. Um, but that Pluto, I know Pluto is going to affect it because when Pluto was in Scorpio, well, it was activating Mars. But so, and Mars is, especially if you take the sect, it is my ascendant lord, but it's also the malefic, the out of sect malefic, in traditional Hellenistic astrology. And definitely some bad stuff happened to me when Pluto was transiting my first house. My brother was hit by a train, which Mars can represent a brother or sibling, and Saturn here would be the train, especially Saturn and Leo. I cut my knee open down to the bone, like really badly. I broke my arm in three places. So like, yeah, a lot of accidents. Mars, Uranus activation there, right? Because Mars rules um Scorpio. So it's like, activating by being in that being in Scorpio and also squaring Mars, right? And then being conjunct Uranus. Yeah, also squaring Saturn. Um, so yeah, so we can look up some other charts. Let's see here. I don't know. I'm just gonna pull a chart up at random. Look at Baba Walters. I don't know. Um, she talks funny, I think. I can't even think of it. Anyway. All right, so let's see. Pluto. See, what's really difficult about doing this is like if this was a client, I would ask questions and I would be able to tease out like what was going on, right? Because there's many different ways these things can manifest. Um, but anyway, so hers was in Capricorn, fourth house. So and her Saturn's in the third. So this was going to be activating fourth house and third house, and a semi-sextile. So not exactly harmonious, right? But her home she might have like moved a bunch of times or might have had to like do major renovations around her home, her family issues. Is she dead? I think she must be dead. Anyway, it's probably not a great chart. Let's look up somebody who's alive. I'm sorry. I just like you know, sleep sleep issues, sleep deprived. All right, Neil Donald Walsh. Wait, is he alive? 1940. He must still be alive. All right. Um, yeah, so okay, so Pluto was in Capricorn, activating his sixth house, um, sixth cusp, and where's Saturn? Let's see. Um, sorry. Saturn's in Gemini. Um, so that's obviously an inconjunct relationship. So that's not going to be so great for you know, daily. I mean, this could be very competitive, right? This could be like opposition, conflict, getting into fights, arguments, especially with Saturn in Gemini. It's in the 11th house. So having to do with groups and networks or internet, right? Communication, media, daily grind, daily. He has to work with somebody and, working daily. I don't know, right? I'm making it up, but some authority, some older person. He's just, yapping at him all the time and being very annoying. That's what he's got to deal with. But so in Aquarius, it's actually going to be much more harmonious because now we have the trine, especially by sign, and it'll get better as Aquarius moves through the degrees, getting closer to the exact trine of Saturn. That's going to be much more harmonious. And it's going to activate, especially as it gets to the higher degrees, his seventh house. Um, so relationships and communication, media, Gemini, Aquarius, internet, um, groups, networks, social issues. It's gonna be much more harmonious. It's also gonna activate his Uranus, which is also in Gemini, and Mars, and this is quite accidental. Something about this could be, but it's not gonna be if there's an accident and it's bad, it'll turn out good because of the trine, right? Pluto will it's not going to be harmful because it's not like, you know, bad aspect, right? Let's look at somebody else. Mark Wahlberg. Okay. Okay, Pluto. So Pluto was in Capricorn, was activating his seventh house, so relationships, and then his Saturn's in um, Taurus with Venus and Mercury. So seventh Lord in the 11th, um, 11th, but yeah, 11th because the 12th cusp is already it's in Gemini, so late 11th. So groups, networks, and then it's combined with Mercury and Venus. So Venus is definitely a woman, right? For him. Seventh Lord conjunct Venus, that's good. And let's see. Um, so some sort of community group network. that he's going to find relationships in. Also, fifth house, entertainment, and it's going to be also fourth house. So from, could be from hometown entertainment. Could be, let's see, 12 foreigner. Um, yeah, and it's not really ruling a cusp here, but Venus is in good dignity. So beautiful woman, Venus in Taurus. Um, Yeah, and that's harmonious, right? Because it's trine. He probably had a very powerful relationship. It is Pluto, right? But so now that it's in Aquarius and it's moving into his eighth house, um, yeah, that's it's going to be activating his Mars and North Node in Aquarius. Interesting. Um, Elon Musk also has this combination, Mars and North Node in the eighth house, and they're so different. I mean, it perfectly describes Tesla and SpaceX and all the computer stuff and social media. But like Mark Wahlberg's an actor, but he's probably into a lot of that stuff. Also, Mars North Node for working out. That's you'll see that a lot. Not so much with Elon Musk. Elon Musk took it a different way, right? But he's probably really into technology as well, Mark Wahlberg. But this is going to transform his let's see what, so Mars is ruling, it's ruling the 11th cusp, and it's not really ruling a cusp here, but fifth house, most of the fifth house. Um, in the eighth. So his sexuality, his shared resources, eighth house themes is going to become very, he could go through major crises and disruption, like eighth house stuff, like death, rebirth, especially relating to his Mars, his physicality. That's all gonna, I mean, this could be very powerful transit the next 20 years for Mark Wahlberg, right? Um, Definitely activating, fifth entertainment, so like movies and stuff. We'll go through various transformations for him, like his role as an entertainer, and also the groups and networks, communities, career success, all these things that he's um, a part of. I'm not sure how that relates. Um, but yeah, it's gonna, that's a square, the relationship. So it's gonna be hard work for him, right? This was a much easier period in Capricorn than Aquarius will be. It's going to be more difficult, deeply transformational, psychological, right? And especially as it gets to the later degrees of Aquarius, it's going to become more difficult, right? As it's squaring the Saturn, but also, you know, and then so Uranus is also going to be activated, and that's here in Libra. So that's interesting. That is actually trine. So in some ways, there could be some like sudden, very like intimate relationships, right? Hot relationships, right? I mean, I'm sure he's, Mars North Node in the eighth house, very, very sexual, right? So he could have some like very exciting sexual partners with Pluto in the eighth because activating the Uranus in Libra, right? So I'm sure he does anyway. But let's look at another example. Somebody alive. Now let's look Mike Tyson. Wait, is Mike Tyson? Is that? Yeah, all right. Just checking the birth, if the birth time. No, it's 12 p.m. It's not his real chart. I think I remember that. Let me look up somebody else. Um, let's look up everyone's favorite president, Donald Trump. See what kind of year he's gonna have, or not year, but see how Pluto transit is going to affect him. Um, so Pluto was in his fifth house. So really um transformed his role as an entertainer. I mean, took it to a whole nother level, right? From um what is it? You're Fired, the TV show, to President of the United States, right? Um, yeah. And so where's his Saturn? His Saturn is in Cancer, but it's actually mutual reception by um, exaltation with Jupiter. So the Saturn's not so bad. Also, let's see, does it receive any aspect from the moon? Um, in conjunct by 2 degrees. So that's something, right? It's not nothing because moon rules Cancer. So it's um trying to, and then Venus generally is good for Cancer because, or for, sorry, for Saturn, because Saturn is exalted and Venus is a sign of Libra, right? So this Saturn, even though it's not in good dignity, it's in Cancer, it has some mitigations, right? The Venus, Jupiter, and the moon. So it's not terrible, right? And then so Saturn is ruling the sixth and seventh. So it's also his relationship planet. So it shows like an age difference usually with Saturn there, Saturn, Venus. Um, let's see here. So fifth house and the 11th house. So groups, networks, and fifth house, entertainment. Children, his relationships with his children would have gone through major transformation, for better or worse. Ultimately better, but probably through a lot of challenges and difficulties. Um, it is opposite, so that's not so bad, right? Because it's compared to the inconjunct. Inconjunct is much more difficult than the opposition. In opposition is just two, it could be any kind of relationship where both sides are equal. It's fair and it's balanced, right? But you're talking about the inconjunct, it's not balanced anymore. One side is dominating the other, right? And that's the difficulty with the inconjunct. Um, so yeah. I and then so in Aquarius, it's going to start activating his sixth house. So his daily routine is going to be affected. His It's going to become much more competitive, especially because the relationship now between Pluto and Aquarius, Saturn and Cancer is in conjunct. Now it's going to be a period of conflict for him next for the next 20 years, and that's unfortunate, especially as it gets higher up into the Aquarian degrees, where it's more in conjunct, right? It's still probably pulling in some opposition here because 23 degrees, so it was fairly recently quite opposite, right? Which is much better. Um, also, well, this is just temporary. Mars is dignifying. Um, no, it's not. What am I talking about? Sorry, sleeplessness. Saturn's dignifying Mars, but anyway, it's a transit, so it doesn't work that way. But so yeah, the next 20 years are going to be difficult, but it's also going to activate the Uranus, which is trine. So Uranus is going to do quite well, whereas his Saturn isn't. And Saturn, so his daily routine is going to be rough. He's probably not going to, have much peace in his daily life, a lot of conflict. His relationships sadly might not do as well. Um, for the next 20 years. But this Uranus, politics, social issues, just like this dynamism, Uranus can be just so unique, explosive, just all of a sudden, right? Sudden rise to prominence. He already had that, but it could happen again, especially. So yeah, let's do one more chart. Let's do Taylor Swift. Why not? All right. So Taylor Swift was having her second house activated with Saturn in Capricorn, right? So that's conjunction. Um, Pluto, activating her second, Pluto in her second house, activating her second house, right? Um, it's the cusp is in Sagittarius. It's not in Capricorn, but still most of the second house is Capricorn. So that's really simple, right? So now Pluto in Aquarius, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because now we have a 12th house relationship, semi-sextile relationship. That's not as smooth. So I think Taylor Swift had her moment in the sun, and it's not that she's gonna, disappear from the limelight all of a sudden, but it's gonna change, right? Because 12th house, um, relationship with Pluto, it's still activating, the Saturn and Capricorn, and Saturn and Capricorn is still very strong, right? But compared to this relation where Pluto's in Capricorn, and it completely transformed her whole image, right? Um, Saturn's ruling, it's taking up most of the second, but it's ruling the third cusp. But second house deals with appearances, right? It deals with outer persona, like the way somebody dresses, the way they appear in public. And she went through a major transformation, right? From nice little country girl to kind of like I mean she's like definitely one of these Illuminati types, Satan worshipers. So just look at it, believe whatever you want. I mean, it's pretty, once you start looking at these patterns, it's like, oh my God, why are they all worshiping the devil? It's like crazy. Anyway, um, yeah. So now it's going to, the relationship's going to be different. So I think she's not going to have the same success for the next 20 years that she's been having, right? But it's going to change her expression a lot. It's going to change the way she communicates, the way she thinks, her mind, her intellect. Um, it's going to activate this North Node for sure, right? And third house. So out of, South Node, Leo, definitely like, the limelight, of course. Ninth house, it's quite prominent there. And now third house, so much more writing and intellectual stuff. So it's going to be a real transformation for her, but pulling in her into her North Node in Aquarius strongly. And that 12th house, so there's going to be some loss. It could be creative, right? This could be very creative. Saturn in the 12th of Pluto, right? Um, but also isolation and loss, and it's not as strong, right? It's not as direct. And then it's also going to activate her Uranus, which is also in Capricorn. So not really much different there, but Uranus. One of the reasons why she's so prolific is like this Mercury is conjunct Uranus and Neptune, and the Saturn, right? And so it's like really intense here. I mean, her Mercury's her intellect, right? And so like Uranus, Mercury is like brilliant ideas, very active mind. Mercury, Neptune is very creative intellectually, right? Um, yeah. Let's look up one more. I know I said one, but let's see, somebody relevant. Gwen Stefani, we'll look up because I heard she was going to get back together with No Doubt. Um, all right. She's got this amazing Mars and Capricorn right on the ascendant. Well, a few degrees, but still. Anyway, all right. So, uh, yeah, Capricorn ascendant. So this is very relevant. So, and what happened to Gwen Stefani is perfect, right? Major transformation, like deep down, like from like indie hardcore pop rocker singer to um, you know, artsy hip hop diva, right? Um, so Pluto was in Capricorn, totally transformed her in a deep way, shockingly, right? Where's her Saturn? So her Saturn's in Taurus, so this is pretty harmonious because it's the trine. And so it's first house, fourth house. So something about her home, her roots, her yeah, her parents, um where she grew up, yeah, all that stuff. Um, Now it's going to be less harmonious for her because it's moving into, so her second cusp is in Aquarius, second house cusp, and so this is going to be a while before it fully, impacts that. But it's going to change. It's going to change her outer appearance, right, and her singing, and um, the way it already did change it, but it was more fundamental in the first house than it will be in the second house. But that transformation is going to continue with Gwen Stefani. And this next 20-year period, it's going to be less harmonious because the relationship with Saturn isn't as good as the trine. It's the square, right? And that's going to be a lot a lot harder for her. It's not as easy, not as, the trine is just easy, easy to like easy gains, easy wins, right? The square is like you got to work for it. Doesn't mean it's not possible, but it's going to affect her finances, her self-image, her self-esteem, her appearance, the way she likes to dress. Um, Interesting that it's the Pluto and Aquarius, and then she just announced like a move back to no doubt, which I don't know, maybe it's just a temporary thing, but it's also going to activate her Uranus, and that is conjunct her Mercury as well and her Sun. So in her ninth house, so yeah, I mean it's gonna also really affect her identity. I mean her appearance. So a lot more transformations for Gwen Stefani for sure. Um, and that's going to be the relationship with Uranus is good because that's a trine. Um, so definitely some shocking public changes uh could happen for Gwen. Um, change in philosophy. I don't know if she's religious, but probably not. Um, could have to do with travel and adventure. There's things like that, but it's still very prominent in the sky, the ninth house. And it is 10th whole sign house. So still having to do with her public image and career. Right. Um, yeah, so that's that's it, guys. You can do that in your own chart, right? Check where it is. Like I'm not going to go through each house because the themes of the houses, right? And Pluto is just going to upend everything. It's going to destroy, it's going to burn the house to the ground and then build it back up bigger and better, right? That's it. But in a nutshell, it's not easy, but if the relationship with Saturn is harmonious, then it's better. If the planets in Capricorn previously or in Aquarius now, and the angle is good, then it's that's going to work out well. And then also how the relationship with Uranus, if it's going to have a good aspect with Uranus, then that's also going to be beneficial for you. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this and found it useful, and um uh yeah, mediocre astrologer signing off. Hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Book a reading with me. You can email me at macrogirlmachine@yahoo.com. And oh yeah, I forgot. Man, he's okay. I hope you guys are okay. And laugh it off. Take a victory laugh. Win before you win. I'll see you guys next time. All right. Bye bye.